All right, guys, welcome to the channel. So today I want to talk about why I sold my Tesla Model X. I had it for just under a year, and just sold it right at the end of 2021. I sold it, and so I want to go through just really the reasons why I sold it, some things I would consider if I was to buy a new one, and kind of just give you my overall review opinion of the Model X after having owned it for, I think I owned it for about 9 to 10 months. And so let's go through that. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out is I really sold it not because I did not like the vehicle. It was primarily my wife's vehicle. She loved the vehicle. She loved driving it. It was her first Tesla. We had a Tesla Model S. We currently have that too. That's what I drive. She drives the X. And so she really enjoyed driving the Model X. And so she was a little upset to sell it. However, when we kind of went through the numbers and with what we're going to replace it with, she was fine. So I want to talk about just a couple of the reasons why I sold it and some things to consider if you're looking at a Model X, because, there are some things that you really don't know until you start owning it and driving it and, living with it, that you're going to find out. So the first one, number one, is the values on those cars are very high. Now, that's a good thing if you've bought yours a year or so ago or more. But if you're looking at one right now, you're going to pay top dollar. Right now, it's the first quarter of 2022, January 2022. And even like a 75D or a 90D, kind of the base level Model X is a 2006 or 2007, you're going to pay high 50s to mid 60s for one of those cars, even for high mileage. And that's a big consideration when looking at these cars, is what are you gonna pay for it? How much is it going to cost? And what are the values done? Now, I bought it in the first quarter of 2021, so I owned it for, like I said, 9 months. I paid high 40s for my Model X. I had a 2016 Tesla Model X, the 90D. It's not the Performance. It wasn't the 75. It's kind of a step up from the 75D. However, it wasn't the Performance version, so it didn't have the super quick acceleration, but it still went 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. It had 230 miles of range. When we bought it, it had about 77,000 miles on it, and probably put 6,000 or 7,000 miles on it when we owned it for about 9 months. So the value from when I bought it, the high 40s in early 2021 to when I sold at the end of 2021, sold it for mid 60s, 67 is what I got out of it. So that's a huge jump in price. So a couple things that have driven the price up is, one, supply and demand. Tesla's not making, in 2021, they really didn't make any Tesla Model X's. So the only thing that was available was a used one. It was a very desirable model, and they're re-releasing the Model X under kind of a new model year for 2022. They're coming out with the Plaid, and they have the long range. So there's some redesign to that. So I figured while the value was still high, I would sell it, because once Tesla starts delivering these newer models of it, demand might slightly come down, because, people are now getting their new ones versus, someone looking for a used one. So that was kind of my thinking. So it's rare to be able to buy a car and be able to sell it for, significantly more than what you paid for it. So the fact that we were able to do that is really the main reason why I sold that car. The second one is it had the 6 seats. And we have 6 people in our family. So we have, my wife and I, 4 kids. And it has the third row. All the Model X's, most of them have the third row. It'll come in like a 7-seat or a 6-seat configuration. There are some 5-seaters out there that don't have the third row, but we needed the third seat because there's 6 of us. We got the 6-seat, thinking we have 6 people, 6-seat would be good. If I had to do it over again, I would get the 7-seat. The 6-seat really is... it's pretty cramped in the third row seat. And so really it'd only be good for very small kids, like my 5-year-old kid in a booster seat could sit back there fine. But anyone older than, say, like 8 or 9 years old is really going to have some space issues. You really can't fit adults in the third row seat. So it's really not a true 6 or 7-seater vehicle. And that's probably another reason why we're getting rid of it, is because it's a little cramped, especially for road trips. We want to take on a road trip. It just doesn't have a lot of cargo room, because it has it had the 2 captain chairs in the second row and just the 2 in the back. And so really there was not a ton of room for cargo for taking it on trips or taking it to, long road trips and things like that. So that's the issue too, is if you're just using it for 5 people or less, even 4 people, I would say for 4 people or less, it's fine. But if you're wanting to use it for 6 or 7 people, and you want to utilize that third row, it's really going to struggle. Okay, other thing I want to point out I've done a couple of their videos on this, but the Falcon doors, so it has those doors that come up, the Falcon wing doors they're called. They're really flashy. They're really cool looking. You know, if you want to get attention at the car wash or the gas station, open those things up. You know, they're like Lambo doors, kind of. They're really cool looking. However, they're not as functional as I was expecting them to be. They're a little quirky. We had it in the shop almost 5 times within those 9 months. Actually, it was 5 times within those 9 months of getting the sensors worked out on those doors. They would open. They wouldn't open all the way. They would sense phantom objects. They wouldn't, you know, only open half the way. So they were quirky. They didn't work as practical. And I actually got hit by the door a couple times. And so they're just, I don't think it's as practical as like a minivan door. You know, they talk about how you can like get access to the second and third row better. Which if you have a kid, if you have a child like an infant, let's say an infant like a rear-facing seat or something like that, getting them into the second row would be a little bit easier. Not, I would say maybe 10 to 20% easier than say a minivan. But in the other instances of the doors, it's probably not worth it. So even though they do look cool, I think the functionality and the function of them and how they work, I really was concerned with them long term. Like, how are they going to last? Luckily, my car, my 2016 Model X, was under warranty when I bought it. It had an extended warranty. It must have been from one of the previous owners. They bought it and purchased an extended warranty because the basic warranty had been expired. I mean, the car was over 5 years old, and so that expired. So I had the extended warranty, and so all of those issues with the doors, some of the other things I had with it were covered under warranty. Thankfully, I don't know how much that would have been, but I was concerned it was going to be coming out of warranty in 5 months. So I figured, you know what, I want to get rid of it now. It's still under warranty. It's all worked out. It's good to go for the next owner. And I really didn't want to deal with any more Falcon door issues. So that was another reason. Okay. Also, for 2016, 2017, like the first generations, first years of the Model X, they mainly came, you know, a 75 kilowatt battery, a 90 kilowatt, there's a 100 kilowatt battery. The 90 and 75, I just don't feel they had enough range in it. Ours had the 22-inch wheels. 22-inch wheels really drain the battery down. And then if you live in a cold climate like we do, we live in northern Utah where we get, you know, below zero or, you know, below freezing temperatures through the winters, that's also going to reduce the battery range. So really the battery, when it was new, it charged about 257 miles. We had about 83,000 miles on it when we sold it, and it would charge up to around 230 to 229 miles. So it didn't degrade a whole lot. However, the range, the usable range, was probably about 185 miles. With the terrain, you know, you're driving through elevations, hills, and things like that, the 22-inch wheels. And then, you know, even if you're just going the speed limit, where I'm at, we commonly drive from northern Utah south, like through Las Vegas down to Southern California. We do that occasionally. But the freeway speed limits are, most of the way through Utah, are 80 miles an hour. So I want to go at least the speed limit, and I should be able to go to the speed limit and be able to get close to the stated range, and that really isn't the case. So really having 230 miles of range on the battery, I can really go maybe 180, 185 miles before I need to charge again. So doing a long, you know, like a 500-600 mile road trip is really going to take a long time because, you know, just the charging time plus having to stop every, you know, 100 and, you know, the charging stations are 120, 100 miles or so between each other. So if I was to get another one, it'd have to be at least a 100 kilowatt battery pack. So that way it gets that number closer to 300, where really you have a usable 220, 230, 230 miles of range. Also, a couple things that I wish mine had. So when we got ours, like I said, early 2021. We bought it from a guy locally, and it was one of the cheaper ones available. It was also one of the higher mileage ones. And we had just sold our minivan. I was looking for one. I'm like, you know what, this seems like a pretty good deal. High 40s for this Model X with 77,000 miles on it. But it didn't have the premium upgrade package, which has some interior features, the bioweapon defense mode with the HEPA filter. I think that also includes better sound system as well. But it did not have the cold weather package. So no rear heated seats, no steering wheel, no heated steering wheel. And then it also did not have the tow hitch, and because it was a 2016, an early 2016 build, it didn't have the full self-driving cameras already pre-installed. So it had a handful of things that we kind of settled on because we kind of needed a car at the time. This one came available, and it was a great deal. Looking back on it, it was a fantastic deal because, at the time it was a good deal, but now we were able to sell it for, almost, $18,000 more than what we paid it, which is a huge difference. We figured, let's sell it, and the next vehicle we get, we'll have it configured with some of those features that we want. Okay, so what I want to talk about now is I just want to talk about if I was to buy another one, another Tesla Model X, what would I want in it? What features would I want? What year would I want, and so forth? What configuration would I want it after having owned one? So I would definitely want the 7-seat option. So for family of 6, definitely get the 7-seat option, because that way, when my wife was just hauling all 4 kids, we have a 13-year-old who's pretty tall, so he can sit in the front seat. The 3 others in the second row seat. That way, the third row seats can be folded down, and then we can use that whole area for luggage or cargo area when we're, when my wife's just hauling the kids around, which that was pretty common on a daily basis. So I would definitely do 7 seats. I would also do, I don't think I'd have to have the performance version, but I would do a 100 kilowatt pack. I mentioned that, but I'd want to have the most amount of range possible. So ours was 90D, and it would go 0 to 60 in like 4.8 seconds, which for a Tesla, that's slower for a Tesla, but for other cars, that's very quick. It was very quick off the line, very fun to drive, and we really enjoyed driving it. So I wouldn't need the performance version, but I would want a larger battery pack so that we could take it on trips, and it'd be a little more usable on longer range trips. So 100 kilowatt pack. Also, I'd want the cold weather package, the tow package. I wouldn't tow with it, but where I found I would want the tow package is just hooking in like a cargo carrier or a bike rack or some kind of carrying capacity on the rear hitch would be great, because taking my bike somewhere or taking the kids' bike somewhere, that would be great. But ours didn't have that ability to do that. Okay, so I'd want a 2017 or newer. They started doing the full self-driving cameras and everything in late 2016, early 17. So I would do 17 or newer, the premium upgrade package, and then also I would look for one that has the free supercharging. Ours didn't have the free supercharging. We thought it did going into it. The previous owner did. When it was sold to us, it was taken off. So if a car was ever traded back to Tesla, or if it was ever traded through like a dealer auction, Tesla strips that option right off. And so there's very few early Tesla Model X right now that still have the free supercharging option, because they've traded hands a few times and Tesla is anxious to remove that option. So if you could find one with all of those options, so like I said, 100 kilowatt pack, cold weather package, tow package, 2017 or newer, or even a late 2016 one, because that would still have free supercharging, premium upgrade package, free supercharging. If you could find one with those kind of options and a desirable color option that you would want, that would be one I would recommend getting. So I don't think we're going to get a Tesla Model X. Coming to the channel in a few weeks, we're taking delivery of a Tesla Model Y 7-seater, and I want to give you kind of a comparison owning that versus the Model X, and just kind of give you some thoughts as far as why we went with the Y versus the X. But I want to leave you guys with some positives. So even though we sold our car, we got a great price for it. It was a very fair price based on the market. But the new owner is happy with it. It's a great car. It is a fun car to drive. If you've driven one, they're awesome. That big panoramic sunroof that comes up over your head, that is an awesome feature on those Model X. So we really love that. The handling was great. It drove great. It was smooth riding. My wife loved driving it, and it did have a warranty with it. So I was thankful that our car had a warranty, even though it didn't have the free supercharging. It had a warranty. So a lot of the little things that just came up, we got fixed under warranty. So that was great. But I was a little scared of owning it outside of warranty, because it just had, I had it in the Tesla service center within 9 months. I had it probably 6 times in the Tesla service center, which is quite a bit for, that short a period of time of owning it. So I was a little leery of owning it outside of warranty. So if you can get one for a good deal, I know it's going to be hard, in this environment that we're in car-wise, but you know, I think as new Model X's, the new refresh versions being delivered, and inventory, you know, maybe ramps up a little bit. Maybe the prices will soften a little bit on them, and that might be an opportunity to look at them. But anyways, well, guys, I hope that was helpful. I hope it was informative or entertaining at least. That's why I sold the car. We liked the car, but I think it was time for something else. And coming soon to the channel is going to be a new Model Y. We're going to go through that. So hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.